Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to today's edition of Talking Politics. My name is Robert Press, the host of this show. As you can see by my official New York City press card, I write for the Bronx Chronicle. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and the Parkchester Times. The Parkchester Times, like this show, is owned by Muslim media. The views that appear on this show are that of the host, any guest, or any commentator on the bottom of the screen, and not necessarily that of Muslim media. It has been a cold night last night, and last night was the first night of the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. On Morris Park Avenue in front of Loretto Park, Rabbi Pesner of the Bronx Jewish Center lit the first candle of the menorah for the first night of the 8 days of Hanukkah. It was, like I said, a very cold night with the temperature that was dipping into the low 30s, so there weren't that many people there. And as far as the public hearing last night at about the city of Yes, again, there was not that many people because of the weather, but I'll get into that a little later at the end of the show when I talk about Community Board 11. The weather for today should be close to 50, about 49, very clear as you can see the sun outside. Saturday, the temperature should get into the mid-50s and be clear. Sunday seems to be the best day as the temperature could reach 60 degrees. However, there is a chance at night for heavy rain continuing into Monday, where the temperature in Monday should reach maybe into the mid to high 40s. As far as the rest of the week, next week, rain is in the forecast for Wednesday or Thursday. The big issue today that just came out yesterday, Hunter Biden has been indicted by a federal grand jury yesterday with a scheme to evade federal taxes on millions of dollars from income from foreign businesses. The second indictment against him this year, and a major new development in a case Republicans have made the cornerstone of a possible impeachment of his father, President Joe Biden. Hunter Biden, the president's son, faces 3 counts, each on evasion of tax assessment, failure to file and pay taxes, filing a false or fraudulent tax return, according to this 56-page indictment. A withering play-by-play of personal indulgence with potentially enormous political costs for his father. The charges filed in California come 5 months after he appeared to be on the verge of a plea deal that would have avoided jail time and potentially granted him broad immunity from the future prosecution stemming from his business dealings. But that agreement collapsed, and in September, he was indicted in Delaware on 3 charges stemming from his illegal purchase of a handgun in 2018, a period when he used drugs heavily and was prohibited from owning a firearm. The tax charges also have been the more serious element of the inquiry by the special counsel, David C. Weiss, who began investigating the president's son 5 years ago as the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney for Delaware. Mr. Weiss was retained when President Biden took office in 2021. Mr. Biden, that's Hunter Biden, engaged in a 4-year scheme not to pay at least $1.4 million in self-assessed federal taxes he owed for tax years 2016 through 2019, Mr. Weiss wrote. Between October 2016 and October 15, 2020, the defendant spent money on drugs, escorts, girlfriends, luxury hotels, and rental properties, exotic cars, clothing, and other items of a personal nature, in short, everything but his taxes, Mr. Weiss said. If convicted, Hunter Biden could face a maximum of 17 years in prison, Justice Department officials said. Many of the facts laid out in Thursday's indictment were already well known, and the litany of Mr. Biden's action tracks closely with a narrative he drafted with prosecutors in a plea deal that collapsed over the summer under the withering scrutiny of a federal judge in Delaware. Now, here is a little bit of the Hunter Biden investigation. President Biden's son, Hunter, has been under investigation since 2018 over his foreign dealing, drug use, and finances. The unraveling of the plea deal, the investigation appeared to be near an end in June after Hunter Biden agreed to enter a plea agreement. Instead, his legal troubles got worse. Special counsel. Days after the judge delayed the deal, the prosecutor in the case was elevated to special counsel status. A stunning reversal. Still, the move might not have changed much in the practice. Next is a close relationship The possibility of a federal indictment of Hunter Biden stunned his father, but allies of the president said their bond is ironclad despite the potential fallout. There was also a lawsuit against Giuliani that Hunter Biden had sued Rudy Giuliani and Giuliani's former lawyer for their roles in spreading his personal information from a laptop he left at a repair shop in Delaware. Prosecutors said that he subverted the payroll and tax withholding processes of his own company, Wexco PC, by withdrawing millions from coffers that he used to subsidize an extravagant lifestyle rather than paying his tax bills. They also accused him of taking false business deductions. Mr. Weiss called out Biden for failing to pay child support and his resilience on associates, including the Hollywood lawyer, Kevin Morris, to pay his way. Prosecutors included a chart that tracked the cash he siphoned from this company's coffers: $1.6 million in ATM withdrawals, $683,000 plus for payments to various women, nearly $400,000 for clothing and accessories, and around $750,000 for restaurants, health and beauty products, groceries, and other retail purchases. Throughout the document, Mr. Weiss presents an unflattering split screen of Mr. Hunter Biden scooping up millions in income and gifts from friends while stubbornly refusing to pay his taxes. That pattern even persisted into 2020 after he had borrowed money to pay off the tax liabilities from previous few years, prosecutors wrote. Defense spent $17,500 each month, totaling approximately $200,000 from January 1 through October 2020 on a lavish house on a canal in Venice Beach, California, they wrote, adding that the IRS stood as the last creditor to be paid. In a statement, Abby Lowell, Mr. Biden's lawyer, said Mr. Weiss has bowed to Republican pressure and accused him of reneging on their previous agreement. He said the special counsel has not responded to his request for a meeting a few days ago to discuss the details of this case. Now, the Hunter Biden case sits at a crowded intersection of America's colliding political and legal systems. There is now a very real prospect that President Biden's son will be defending himself in two federal criminal trials during a presidential election year, as Mr. Trump, his father's likely opponent, confronts the possibility of two federal criminal trials in his classified documents and election interference cases. The additional charges come on the cusp of a vote by the Republican-led House to formalize its impeachment inquiry into President Biden, which is largely based on unsubstantiated allegations that he benefited from his son's lucrative consulting work for companies in the Ukraine and China. Republican leaders in the House released draft text of a procedural impeachment resolution against President Biden yesterday, just hours before the word of new charges started to percolate through the official Washington wavelengths. It is not clear what the indictment will have on their inquiry. The indictment contains no reference to President Biden, but prosecutors pointed out Hunter Biden's compensation from Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company, dropped from $1 million in 2016 when his father was still in office to $500,000 in March 17, 2 months after Joe Biden left as vice president. Moving on, the latest news in the war in Gaza comes from CNN. They say that U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Qatari Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani to speak about efforts to secure the release of the remaining hostages by Hamas. Israel's relations with the United Nations have sunk to a historic low after a spat between the two escalated this week. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Wednesday invoked a rarely used but powerful tool in his determined push for a ceasefire in Gaza, causing outrage among Israeli diplomats. Article 99 of the UN Charter allows the UN chief to raise the Security Council's attention, quote, any issue that may aggravate existing threats to the maintenance of international peace and security. Guterres, in a letter to the 15-member council, used that diplomatic tool and urged the body to press to avert a humanitarian catastrophe and unite in a call for a full humanitarian ceasefire. Israeli Foreign Prime Minister Eli Cohen lashed out at the Secretary General for his letter, saying the UN's chief tenure was a danger to world peace and that his call for a ceasefire in Gaza amounted to supporting Hamas and the October 7th attack on Israel. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister confirmed Friday the death of an Israeli man who was presumed dead to be held hostage in Gaza. The exact circumstances, location, and time of the death are currently unclear. The Bat Yam municipality named the man a 53-year-old resident, Eaton Levy, a taxi driver who was driving his client to the center of the country, to the kibbutz, while the October 7th Hamas attack occurred. Sirens went off this morning, I should say, and at least 3 loud bangs, likely Iron Dome interceptions. Israel has an Iron Dome around its country or main cities that intercept missiles that come in. As I said, the loud bangs were heard, according to CNN teams on the ground in Tel Aviv. And a few hours ago, then there was a photo of a family taking cover under a building after a rocket fired from Gaza triggered the red alert alarm in Israel. U.S. officials, meanwhile, are discussing post-war Gaza governance plans with the Palestine Authority, along with Arab nations, making it a key focus as they try and look beyond the imminent conflicts. Finally, the number of hostages believed still to be in Gaza now stands at 137, the Israeli Prime Minister's office said today. Meanwhile, yesterday afternoon, Governor Kathy Hochul said there was an incident at the Temple Beth Israel in Albany within the city of Albany's confines. Shots were fired outside the temple in the parking area. There were no injuries or fatalities. A 28-year-old suspect, is a local resident who was walking around outside the synagogue, acting very suspicious, according to witnesses. He fired off a round from the shotgun, making threatening statements. After the shots were fired, the police were called on, and there was a early childhood center on the premise that had at least 24 children the school was locked down. And once everything was all clear, the parents were notified and children were released to the safety of their parents. Federal law enforcement are looking into the investigation. The governor said that she knows the rabbi there. She spoke with her, and especially since what happened on October 7th in Israel, and that the governor plans to attend services tonight, the Shabbos services, and she said as well as the state police and the National Guard are on high alert. She says the safety of Jewish New Yorkers is not negotiable. Every act, whether it's verbal or physical or act of anti-Semitism, is unacceptable, and undermining the public safety at our synagogue on the first night of Hanukkah is even more deplorable. Mayor Adams also made a statement concerning the safety of Jewish New Yorkers and said that he will not tolerate anything either. Wednesday night was a Republican primary. There were 4 contenders that clashed in the debate: former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, both of those who sought to solidify their second place position. And the other 2 candidates were former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, who believe they won depending on who you talk to. However, the other declared one candidate. Others, as Fox and others who commentated on the debate said that they declared the winner of the candidate who was the one who chose not to attend the debate, former President Donald Trump. Trump won, Ramaswamy came in second, and DeSantis and Haley tied for third, while former president candidate, this was according to former presidential candidate Larry Elder, who posted a flattering drawing of Trump with the question, the winner. Trump won this debate. Republican Representative Anthony Sabatini of Florida simply wrote, as Fox News contributor Leo Terrell agreed, President Trump won the debate. Meanwhile, over at CNN, fiery exchanges between DeSantis and Ramaswamy repeatedly attacked Haley as the candidate battled to emerge as the main alternative to former President Donald Trump for the GOP nomination, with less than 6 weeks until the pivotal Iowa caucuses. Trump was a no-show again. The former president skipped debate once again, but still was a hot topic on stage. Now, there is only 6 weeks until the Iowa caucuses for the Republican nomination. It is on January 15th. the lead up to the Iowa caucuses historically has set a test of campaigns or organization strength, and its winner typically leaves Iowa with a jolt momentum in national polls, and the race shifts to New Hampshire for the Granite States primary on January 23rd. Iowa is one of the few remaining states to have primaries in favor of choosing party nominees in caucuses, election night, which are election night gatherings at which voters discuss the candidates and cast their ballots in person. The caucuses, unlike primaries, are usually run by political parties and are held in venues such as fire stations and schools, churches. I'm at the halfway point right now. I will continue with more after the break. So let me go to my commercial break right now.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
Welcome back to the show. I know I spent a lot of time going on in Hunter Biden, and yes, we're going to get to CB11. Let me just continue now with the Governor Kathy Hochul has announced that there will be a special election on February 13th, 2024 to replace former Congressman George Santos. It is going to be only two candidates, one Democrat and one Republican, and former Congressman from the area, Tom Suozzi, will be the Democratic nominee. It's expected that the Republican candidate has not been declared as of yet. In other news, Congressman Jamal Bowman, who I said will have a primary, and I said that it would be George Latimer. George Latimer has announced that he will be running against Congressman George Bowman. But George Latimer does not want it to appear that it is because of the Jewish organization AIPAC, which is going to contribute lots of money against Congressman Bowman, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, and other members of the squad. And he also wants to make sure Westchester County Executive George Latimer that it is not a black versus white thing, because Latimer says he has a black deputy. He went to black public schools growing up, organized for black tenants. He was a white kid in a black neighborhood. Was I a racist? Latimer asked after quoting Martin Luther King. He also, George Latimer, was Attorney General Letitia James' candidate for lieutenant governor in her short-lived bid for governor, when she had announced that she was running for governor and started going around the state with George Latimer as her lieutenant governor. So it's going to be Jamal Bowman versus George Latimer. Good luck, Jamal. Bye-bye. Okay, now, the latest on the city migrant crisis. Mayor Adams returned from Washington after meeting with United States Senator Chuck Schumer, Congress Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and White House staffers. Oh, and let me not forget, he attended a White House holiday party, but there was no mention of what the mayor got from his trip. Before he left for Washington, Mayor Adams said the arrival of more than 100,000 migrants over the past year has become a crisis for the city shelter system and the city's budget. While we continue to call for a national strategy to solve the crisis, New York continues to do its part to support asylum seekers. For over a year, we have asked the federal government to put forward a resettlement strategy, expedite work authorizations for asylum seekers, and provide New York City with much needed and meaningful financial support. In the absence of that national strategy, New York City continues to lead building out the legal and resettlement infrastructure needed to address the crisis. We hope the federal government will join us in these efforts and finish the job that we started. Speaking also of Mayor Adams, mayoral control of the public schools is up this year, and there is hearings going on. Tuesday, December 5th was the Bronx hearing at Delia Clinton. Unfortunately, I was not able to go there. I would have testified that mayoral control needs to end. As I've said, every time mayoral control came up, it was first implemented in 2002 under Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who was a good friend of certain Senate Republicans. And by the way, Mayor Bloomberg donated a lot of money to candidates to get mayoral control. It gives the mayor power over the city's Department of Education. The mayor can appoint the chancellor and select members of the panel for educational policy. As I said, this former chancellor's parent advisory, former parent leader, all the way up to the chancellor's parent advisory council, believes that mayoral control should end. One person running the entire public schools is not good. He does not know what is at the school level, and I will tell you that because this past Sunday, Mayor Adams was at Marina Del Rey for an event. It was the United Bodegas Association, and I asked Mayor Adams, can you give me a comment on what's going on Community Board 11? His comment was, everything is going fine, just as I planned. Okay, so we'll get into that a little later. I know my friend there wanted me to say something about Community Board 11. We'll continue a little later. Now, Mayor Adams is down to only 28% in the latest Quinnipiac approval poll rating. Well, now, he's published something. What they're saying, New York leaders continue to support Mayor Adams' pushback on misleading polls. He quotes 6 different people. One of them is Congressman Adriano Espaillat, who says throughout his entire career, Mayor Adams has been a champion for all New Yorkers, especially our Latino communities. Mayor Adams is in the streets every day, talking to working people, listening to their concerns, and getting stuff done to keep our city safe, clean, and prosperous. Our city made tremendous progress under Mayor Adams' leadership. This is the most necessary, most accessible administration in New York City's history, and I look forward to continuing to work with Mayor Adams to deliver for everyday New Yorkers. Well, Congressman Espaillat, Mayor Adams may be available to you, but he's not available to the media. He is hiding. And even Mayor Bill de Blasio, who the media constantly attacked, came and we met him every time, and there was no problem. He did not hide from the media like Mayor Adams did. There is a new New York State Assemblywoman, Jennifer Rajkumar, who says also that he's done wonders for the city, and other members include Hazel Dukes, the president of the NAACP, Rob Spire, the CEO of Tishman Spires, Catherine Wild, Manny Pastrich, president of 32BJ. And it looks like, these are all people who are involved in building and getting things done, building construction and all of that. Now, last night was the City of Yes public hearing by the Community Board 11 on the economic development part of the City of Yes. There are 3 parts. There is the first part, which was done already. It is the climate control part of the City of Yes, greening of buildings and what will be in new buildings now instead of old climate hurting measures. They're trying to help the climate. This second part is the economic development part, where the City Planning Commission and mayor want to redo economic development. Now, how are they going to do this? They have many empty stores right now. If you go and look down some of the streets of where these commercial strips are, you will find many empty stores. You will find them on Broadway in Community Board 8. You'll find them on Tremont Avenue in Community Board 10. You'll find them on White Plains Road in Community Board 11 and 12. You'll find them in many of the main road strips. You'll find them on 3rd Avenue in Community Board 2, I believe. So we have lots of empty stores, but what Mayor Adams wants to do and his City Planning Commission is they want to have new stores open up in areas where they haven't been before. For instance, second floors above stores where you have people living would be allowable for new businesses to open instead of opening on the ground floor level. Now, as far as the meeting last night, it was one of the most wonderful meetings Community Board 11 had. I, as a member of the Housing Committee, was able to sit with other members of the Community Board. There was no fighting, no arguing, and no finger pointing. Mind you, I'll put my fingers like that. We could only hope that the upcoming meetings of Community Board 11 on Tuesday, December 12th, the Executive Board meeting, and after that, the Leadership Committee meetings will be just like this meeting that happened last night, but I wouldn't bet on it. I expect the yelling, arguing, and figure pointing to continue, as I know that the topic of the Tuesday night meeting will be the removal of the board chair, Bernadette Ferrara, and the board vice chair, Al D'Angelo. Now, according to CB 11 bylaws, the next higher elected officer of the board, which would be the treasurer, will have to convene a committee of no less than 3 and no more than 5 members of Community Board 11 that will have 30 days to go through this. And they will interview the chair, the vice chair, and probably other board members as to why they should or should not be removed. And then probably by sometime in January, we'll have the decision of this committee whether to remove the chair and vice chair or not to remove the chair and vice chair. And I expect a lot of hard words coming out during this process. So look for the January full board meeting to find out what's going to happen to the chair and vice chair. Some people have said the district manager should also be removed, as well as the entire board. So that is up to Borough President Vanessa L. Gibson, who last month at this past meeting, November 30th, scolded the board. She spoke for about 25 minutes, saying that I will remove any board member who does not go by my code of conduct. And I have sent her a letter where board member Malcolm Gray violated her code of conduct. There was a video of the November 30th meeting where it appeared that a certain finger was raised by this board member, Malcolm Gray. And I'm saying it appeared that a certain finger was raised as the chair of the board, who was on the screen and not she was on the telecast, spoke. And however, it appears that another version of the video has surfaced, and we did not see board member Malcolm Gray last night at the housing/land use meeting. So let's see, was it because he was at the tree lighting in Community Board 7, where he is on well, I'm not going to go into his employment. I don't want to tell you where he works or whatever, but he was, I believe, I was told he was at the tree lighting in Community Board 7 rather than being at the meeting of the City of Yes in Community Board 11. And also, Borough President Gibson, if you are not going to release the applications, I will go to court and subpoena the applications and you as to why you have not released the application, because I know that at least 3 board members of Community Board 11 were not eligible to sit on Community Board 11. They are there to push your City of Yes, as I expect the vote to be in favor of the City Yes economic part. The worst to come is the housing part of the unit where, believe it or not, the zoning regulations are going to be slashed. As it is in the commercial areas, you have C1 through C8. And while I was working with Councilman Andy King in Co-op City, that 100-foot sign that was up that fell down, the city planning commission wanted to change the zoning from C7 to C8. It was zoned C7 because that was when Freedom Land was there, and it allowed the houses in Co-op City to be built as high as they are, and they wanted to change it to a C8. I told Councilman King, however, that 100-foot tower can still be built. The only thing is it wouldn't be able to be built from the street level. It would have to be built on top of a building, and that would be even higher and even worse. So Councilman King used his discretion and disapproved the zoning change. So here we have in the residential areas, we have R1, which is one-family homes, and all the way up to R6 and R7, which allow for higher buildings. Let me just say one thing. Tonight, I expect to see the mayor at the 18th Annual Hispanic Chamber of Commerce banquet which is being held at Maestro's because his New York City Police Commissioner, Edward Caban, is one of the honorees, just like Sunday's United Bodegas of America's 4th Annual Banquet Gala, where I asked him the question about Community Board 11, and you heard my answer. There are lots of events going on, menorah lighting, Christmas trees, but I want to tell you that I've confirmed that next week my guest will be the new 13th Councilwoman, Christy Maramato, as the election has been declared official. So let me thank you all for watching tonight. I hope you tune in next week when you see my guest, the new Councilwoman, Christy Maramato, who will explain to you the process that she's been going through right now and why she couldn't come on the show. She is learning how to be a good councilwoman and what she has to do. I believe she will give us a little information about that and hopefully what she plans to do in the coming 2 years. So let me thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Thank you.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us.